And then we're going to appear up here. What's up, Signal Profits family? I've got a guest on the show tonight. You want to say hi to everybody? Guest on the show tonight. Say hi. Wait. You want to say hi to everybody? Guest on the show tonight. Say hi. Wait. Say hi to everybody. Guest on the show tonight. Say hi. She's gonna hang out and help us chart some. She's gonna hang out and help us chart some. Okay, so let's start off with Bitcoin dominance. And help us chart okay, so let's start off with a few trades that moved really nicely today. But we have this what I call alt-season defense wall, which is acting as Bitcoin dominance with this part. That's the lower part. Which is acting as Bitcoin dominance with this part. Yeah, it's a support. It's a support for Bitcoin dominance. There's a bad echo. It's a support for Bitcoin dominance. Let me put headphones on. There's a bad echo. It's a support for Bitcoin dominance. Oh, I see. Never mind. Okay. Okay, so that should be better. It was just because there was a YouTube video playing. Is that better? I'll just wait till somebody says it's better. Okay, cool. All right, so basically this Bitcoin dominance, we broke out of our rising wedge. See this line right here, this black one? See how it touched one time, two times? Whoops, actually we gotta move that in. So see how it touched a bunch of times and it's kind of like broken down on that line. That means that our first support is broken. So next we're looking at this secondary support, which coincides with the 50 MA. Again, I don't know why technical analysis works on dominance, but it does. And so hopefully we can get a 2 to 2.5% fall down on Bitcoin so that we can get a little relief rally in our altcoins. And the ones we're in are good. They've got decent volume. They've got nice pullbacks. And so that's what we're going to be watching. And right now, Bitcoin itself is had a little bit of a sell down earlier today, had a nice bounce yet again on the 100 MA. This is the first, second, third, fourth test. Sold down to about 9,800. If you watched the live stream yesterday, I thought it was going to go like 9,800 up to like 10,300, 10,400, and then fall back down and really test that liquidity zone down in the 9,000 region. We're not quite there yet. We haven't really even hit any sort of previous resistance levels. If you want to really start to look at trends, you really got to get down in like the 5-minute chart. And that's where you're seeing kind of a lot of the reactionary stuff. You'll see it break through the 200, come back, test the 200 EMA, bounce. I mean, you can play this. For me, like I just prefer trends. And this is just like Chop City, like stop hunt, right? 2% stop hunt. 2% stop hunt to the upside, 3% stop side. You can trade this, but it's very difficult. I did a poll on Twitter, basically asked, how everybody was doing this month, and I think 50% had lost money. They said that they want your opinion on the overall Bitcoin trend. What do you think? Just looking at the chart, does it look like it's going up? Does it look like it's going down? Well, she's actually used to seeing the default chart pattern, so let's do this. Okay, so red means the price is going down. Green means the price is going up. Okay. Okay, so we see a lot of which colored candles over here?
Green.
And then we see a lot of which colored candles over here?
Red.
Red. So overall, the newest price action is actually going which way? Down, yeah. So our intermediate short-term trend is down, mostly because we've formed lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, and it looks like we're losing strength. We lost our 20 MA on the 4-hour. Here got rejected, on the daily, got rejected on the 20 daily. And we are seeing some wicks on the 100 MA, but still it's a downward trend until that 20 MA gets reclaimed. And you see what happens when we can reclaim that 20 MA. It just has nice reactions, right? And then we lose it here, but once we reclaimed it, those are the better times to long. I mean, like you could have missed this down here. Once we got above that 20 MA, you'd still have made 15-20%. So right now it's a little bit of indecision. We've got some nice buyback, but sellers are definitely showing that they're in control. They're flexing their muscle and they're just pushing this thing, kind of with ease. And so we're about 25 minutes away from the daily closing. And it's not giving us too much information. We're basically sitting right at yesterday's daily close right here. And so fairly neutral from yesterday's closing. When we go down to the hourly, again, still fairly flat. Looks like we're trying to get above that 50 MA on the hourly. I was mostly looking at a move to the 10,400 level on the 4-hour. If we can reclaim that, then I would be, I'd be a little bit more of a buyer. But all in all, the trend is down, impulse down, correction. As I said yesterday, this is most likely an ABC. I did see some traders calling for 12,000 earlier today that whose opinions I do respect. So I'm trying to find what they're finding. I'm not really seeing it. Potential maybe double bottom W structure, a little bit of a higher low. But beyond that, the technicals just don't give me much. As far as altcoins, we had a nice bounce on ADA, and that's selling off like it loves to do. We had this kind of high climax swing failure point here, basically a double top, and then we saw TRX got a nice little bounce, but nothing too crazy. We saw ICX get a really nice move, which was a reversal trade, and it nailed the target almost to the money. This was a setup that I gave in the reversal trade section about 7 days ago. And so obviously it just takes some patience, but nice 34% move, and we tagged that lower resistance line perfectly. And now we're coming back down, and we're actually finding support on the 200 MA on the hourly. So this could be a good pullback zone for ICX for another challenge on this. And so most likely what we'll do is we'll probably range. And so when something comes up and it hits it, what is that called? When it has trouble breaking through. What is that called? Do you remember?
No.
Resistance. Yeah, resistance. Okay, so, and then the other one. Okay, so let's take a look at FET, and I'll show you what I was seeing on FET here. So FET daily. We had this nice falling wedge structure. We broke out, kind of meandering, and we're basically on a bottom level of support. I liked the way that it was looking, and it was getting some nice volume. We broke and held that 20 MA, and it looks like we're about to get a 2050 cross on here. I was looking for a little bit of a pullback. We did get a little bit of a pullback into the 640 zone, but I was looking at targeting basically this 200 MA on the 4-hour. It does like to come up and get near that 200 MA after like massively oversold conditions. So that's what I'm looking for on FET, on Sealer. If you're still in the trade, if you didn't take profits at T1, we're basically pushing and coiling in a bear flag type structure right at that 200 MA after this descending broad wedge. See this green line? That's called the 200-day or 200 period moving average. And so what I want to see is I want to see a breakout here. And when we switch to the daily, you can see we're above the 20. So the next resistance would be this 50 MA on the Sealer. Again, if we break through and kind of come back to our entry, we can kind of we'll be able to cut that trade if we lose that 20 MA again. But so far it's looking pretty decent. Ren had a very nice spike out, but we bounced off this 70.6 zone, came up, touched the 61.8. And so next stop is probably the 78.6 if this does break down. But we did break out of this falling wedge structure on the hourly. This was not one of my trades. This was one of my analysts' trades. So I'm just kind of looking at what he saw. So we tagged the 200 EMA on the hourly as well as the 200 MA and the 61.8. So high time frame resistance. I pointed this out earlier when we were basically at that 900 level. I said we were going to pull back to here, and then we were going to kind of recharge and then retest a little bit higher level, which was the 4-hour 200 EMA here. Also, the 50 EMA was actually high time frame resistance as well. And if we throw a fib on this, we can see what that looks like. So we're currently at the 50% fib. So potential that we come down to the 850 zone. And I think our stop loss is 845, so right before that. But if it breaks down from there, then I expect kind of a lower meandering retest of this falling wedge structure. Ren. And then what else do we have? We have one more trade out there. I think it was Matic, right? Yeah.
Oh, Matic, yeah. Matic's still
Yep, Matic looks pretty damn good. Okay, so Matic. Do you want to do this one?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, I was talking to Elena.
Oh, yeah,
Okay, so we actually broke out. Really nice high volume, very solid trade so far. We're holding at this double top level really well. I was expecting a little bit of a sell-off back down to the 154, 155 level. So if it can hold up here, that's looking really, really clean for a continuation. There's nothing on the resistance for the daily except this 100 MA where we got rejected back here. So that's another 13% out of this trade. I like the way Matic's looking right now, as long as we don't start to see it sell off. But we're coming up on a closing on the daily, and sometimes when we close into strength like this, a lot of times it just kind of continues out the gate. Metal had a gnarly little hanging man right here, pumped up, sold right back down to the last daily closing candle. So rejection on the 100 MA. This looks like a reversal candle to me. I'm not too keen on that one. I wasn't ever really too keen on metal, but a lot of people are looking at it. And then what was the other one? What was the other trade we were looking at? Metal. KMD I was looking at for a potential swing trade. We just broke out of, you can see here, we basically kind of, let's see, where was I at? Right there. So we're just peeking out. We're coming up on that 20 MA. Nice little falling wedge structure here, but we're just peeking out of this downtrend resistance. If we can get above that 20 MA, it looks pretty darn good. I'd say like 70. Let's see, where are we at? 70. We're at 770. So yeah, so about like, any kind of retest on this trend line, I think will be good once we get above that 20 MA. I'm pretty sure Jacob's daughter is a better trader than me. Did you hear that? They said you're a better trader. She's actually very knowledgeable about her altcoins too. She knows a lot of the fundamental stuff. Okay, so that KMD was another trade I was looking at. There were so many setups yesterday, but they were such low volume coins that I didn't feel comfortable sending them just in case they did break down if Bitcoin had a breakout. And we saw a lot of them pop off today, but yeah, again, like I just didn't feel like the risk was there. LTC had a nice breakout. I'm going to take a look at LTC really quick. Okay, so LTC still below the 20 MA on the so LTC still below the 20 MA on the daily, but it is kind of forming this nice little structure. It looked like we were going to break down on this key support zone, which this is a very, very key support. It goes even further back on Bittrex, but it did break out of this downtrend resistance, and it's kind of holding right here. So not a bad trade to take a position in. We know very, very clearly what our invalidation level is. I mean, it's basically like you could set a stop for 7-8%, and you know exactly. But the risk reward is pretty decent because the next support or the next resistance basically around 31% if we can get above the 20, and if we run it all the way back up to the 200 EMA, it's basically a 50% trade. Again, I like to see a little bit more movement, but this is a area of definite support. I was hoping for a breakdown because I was shorting, but we had this little pump right here that kind of took me out of my short, so I just closed it. Cool. I'm gonna let Chingus take over. I'm gonna help get my daughter to bed. We got to do some brushing teeth and some other things. Do you want to tell everybody good night? Say good night. No. No. All right. And then when I get back, I will be, I went over Ren and I went over Fed already, if you want to rewind it a little bit. But I can also have Chingus go over Ren and Fed as well. And then we'll go from there. Oh, yeah, BAT and ICX will definitely cover. All right, say good night.
That's doing well today.
Hold on one sec. I gotta change your audio.
Playing that range slow.
And got a new high for the day and then dropped right back to open again. So, nothing, when you say nothing's doing, that's sometimes that's the calm before the storm. So you just have to be prepared. But nothing changes. That's I guess that's one good thing about a completely sideways day is everything's still relevant. We did test this 100 again, and this is like not good. It's like taking a hammer to a sheet of glass, man. You just tap, tap, tap. Eventually it's gonna break. Just not that strong to begin with. It can handle this big push and even the quick retest, but coming back again on a heavy loaded candle and then to do it the very next day, this is asking a lot right here. I'm kind of surprised it held up this well. I do still want to see a test of the 20, and I'll say that every day until we do it. But, once we cross down below it, so, when we flip these things, right, so we push up, right, this was resistance one day, we broke above it, and then we kind of pushed, right? So this is good. This is the open of the candle, right? So by default, you're already over it. So it pushed down to at least the EMAs to say, hey, I'm here to stay, and then gave us support. Then when we broke it, right, we tapped it first, which was our quick smash, closed above it, and then we broke just the next day, but it was so convincing that you're not even worried about it. Now, in the grand scheme of thing, a break and then a retest, right, flips this thing short, right? So, you got your break, you push back up for the retest, and then further downside. What we're getting on the 100 is support, 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 and support. Failure to close below that. So the bears are having a very difficult time getting rid of all of these buy orders in this area. And they're really, really having a tough time breaking it. They want a lot of things, right? They want this trend. They want this channel, right? They want the 200 EMA. They want that 21 on the weekly. So it's not like the bears don't want it. They want it. But the bulls are stepping up when they need to and only when they need to. So basically, they're stepping up just to prevent any closure below it. But they're really not doing anything to push this thing up. So there's really just no motivation to at least get it, one, past the 20, and two, back to the swing fail trend line, and then three, back to a new higher high for local. So it's just that's what they're doing. They're just not being nice. Can barely hear me? For real? No. What? Oh, okay. Yeah, you guys should be good. If I'm talking over here, then you shouldn't be able to hear me. But right here, you should be straight. All right, so let's take a look at BAT and ICX. We'll do both because I was looking mostly at BAT USDT. But we'll do BTC real quick first. Because a lot of BTC traders in the house. All right. We don't want this chart. So let's go back here. Let's go back here. Go back here. Go back here. And we'll go back. All right, here we go. So BAT. Oh yeah, I was okay. I was doing some work. All right. So that's what I do all day. I work. All right. So we can see on BAT. Clear area of resistance. Good. Broke through it. Great. This is the 4-hour chart. I would hope that somewhere on our hourly chart, we should have at least a pullback to sorts. Yeah, it's a little messed up, but it's on the bottom side of this support zone, right? So pushed up, break, close above, came back down, retested, structure got tested, break above, previous high, right? Swing high, and then push, right? So this is great. Yep. I would imagine continuation for now, right? We're starting to form just a bull flag on that move. First target profit, I guess, was right here. Yeah, 200 MA. That makes sense. We already tagged our 200 EMA, so this would have been a good spot to just pull like quick profits if you wanted to get front run the 2.6. But instead, you have the 2.618 right here, right? Well, so let's go in order. First target was the 1.6, then the 2.6. If we do get the 2.6, expect this area to be resistance. That's that red line right here. So if we do get it, we'll probably come back and retest something. Are we going to come back and retest 200 MA? Maybe. We probably got to look onto the daily and see if there's anything over there. Maybe the 20 MA. Come back, retest that. We might have even shot past our 790 EMAs. Come back, retest those, and then a push to the 423. 3618 is sitting in a pretty good spot. That's this right here. All right, and then fib levels. So there's the 236 right here. So this would be your 618. So right in between 3.6 and 4.2 is a 618. So yeah, I mean, everything looks good. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, so let's try BTC USDT because we got to have somebody trading this pair besides me. I would hope so. All right, so this one does obviously look a little bit different. We have a much more structural symmetrical triangle here. You could call it a pennant if you want, which would just give you the overall larger pennant on the big scale, right? So if we did something like the daily chart, it'd be a little easier to see. So then you just have this right here, right? So big move up, bull flag, or pennant, I should say, bull pennant, and then good to go. Yep. So this is looking great on the bigger scale. Once we start zooming in, we can see obviously, there's some sell-offs. We've had a bunch of buying earlier today, but look at the areas of interest here, right? Look at that support line. Bang, bang, bang. What's that? That's the 100 MA again, right? 100 MA daily chart is huge, right? It's a big deal. It really is a big deal. Capped out again. This is the Bitcoin chart, just a lot cleaner and with a lot less lines. Here's your 20 as resistance. Here's your 100 as support, right? So if this moves faster than Bitcoin, we might be able to get an indication on what it does. It's not true. Oh, Jesus. It is Bitcoin. Dear Lord. All right, hold on. Hold your horses. I'm like, you know what? That looks a lot like Bitcoin. Okay, here we go. Much better. All right. So now, yes. All right. Do actually have the right chart on the right time frame. We're good. Okay. Did have buying today, push up. Good. This was our local double bottom area that we broke lower of. We ended up painting a bear pennant at the end here. The symmetrical triangle. It did break to the upside though. Kind of unusual, but we'll take it. Not going to hold anything against it here. Found resistance. Let me get that over for you. Bang, right here. So found resistance right here, right at your 20 MA. So 20 MA, like we just talked about on the last chart, but 20 MA is huge on the daily chart. It is a pretty key thing you look for support and resistance. So breaking above this, I mean, you got 6 minutes. Breaking close above it would be really bullish. Continuation likely, a break, under it, a close under it, and, all we really did was just push up and found resistance. So resistance should be this level right here, just about structure coming down. So about that yellow line. Check the 4-hour chart, get a better picture of what's going on here. Yeah, same deal. So there's your resistance level, bang, bang, bang. So we're okay right now, but failure to close above that 20 is going to be a little bit of an issue. I would imagine some slight pullback, possibly come back to the 100 over here, but really, if you don't have the momentum anymore, this is really the spot. That would be the pullback. That makes the most sense structure-wise. Come up, make a new high, double top on structure. This is all structure right here. So that's structure. This is structure resistance. Push back down, find support, push back up, and something like this. I'd probably target this 21st because see this area of structure as well. That's going to act as the same thing here, and then up across the board. You also have a huge swing fail right here. But that would be right in touch with the 786. So could be a good spot for it to push and try. Could see something similar to this where it's just a monster wick. So price does reach it, but the overall trading is down below it. So certainly an idea, but it does look okay for now. We got to let that daily close out in the next couple minutes to really see what it's actually doing. All right, so let's see. Bat ICX. Maybe I'll get the right chart this time. What do you think? I know, it's fun. Okay, 4-hour chart. Look at that. So just like Jacob was pointing out, right, push up break, smash that 200 MA, came up, got another level structure. Yeah, perfect structure level right here. Bottom side swing fail is what you look for. So not swing fail, bottom side swing low. So your swing low candle is right here. So bottom side, wick side, swing low of the high, the swing high that created your local low. So that's what we got right here. And look how that thing played out. Perfect. All right, and that's on the 4-hour chart. So it's going to be different if you do it onto the daily, the 8-hour to 6-hour. Generally speaking, I'm on the 4-hour chart when I'm identifying trade setups. Long-term stuff, of course, I'm on the weekly start and then the daily, but 4-hour is kind of my go-to for these types of things, right? I want to find out target resistance areas right here. Resistance, 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 right? On the way up, right? So we pushed up. What do we got right here? Bang, resistance. What do you got right here? Resistance. Bang, bang, perfect, right? Come over here. Resistance. What do you got? Resistance. Every time. So if you know those things, like you're not going to see that on the daily. That's what I'm saying. You're not going to see. So on the daily, what do you see? Just a bunch of candles just coming down, right? They're like, you could tell where the buying and selling happened, but you can't tell when it happened. You understand? It just happened in a 24-hour period. You don't know that it happened at open. You don't know that it happened at close. But this gives you a better view of what's going to be coming up, right? So on the daily, right, we'd be looking at a level right about here. So we would have front ran that trade, right? It had more to go. We would have never got it because we would have gotten out early because this candle would actually be your swing low up to your swing high, which ended up that brought you your low. So you got to remember what time frames that you're on is sort of going to change how your setup looks. And it also changes the type of trader you are, whether you're scalper, intraday, short swing, mid swing, long swing, like all those things really do make a difference. All right, so anyway, let's go back to the 4-hour chart. Let's see what we're looking at here target-wise for the next one. That pullback actually is freaking-tastic, man. That looks so good. So I would do something like this. So we go do that and that. So target zone areas would be 423. 423 like upper range, and 3.6 is like a lower range, right? So ideally, you'd hit that 4.2 on this first move if you find that support. But I'll tell you what, I don't like that level. I like that level. So that would be my target. It doesn't coincide with the fibs, but hey, you know what? Not everything does. That would be in between the 3.6 and the 4.23. We could check like daily chart and see if that lines up to anything. I mean, by the time we get up there, it could push our 70 EMA to the point where that's confluence, or it's not like it would drag the 100 down. You could wake up to the 100, but I think baseline would be somewhere in this ballpark here. Next level would be, 4.2 up, so top side over here above that 4.2. So these don't always work. And when they don't, just take it off so you don't have to look at it. That's all. But the selling that we're getting right now is perfect, right? A little sell, pull back, find support, push up for the next leg. Now, if it breaks down, what are we looking at? Probably this, right? That would be the rebuy zone. So if it breaks down, find support, buy back, probably find support on our 20. Something like that. You know what I mean? So by the time you get there, 20 locks up, push, break, smash your previous level, right? And then reclaim your new high and then make your next target. Something like that. All right, so that's ICX BTC. Let's take a look at ICX USDT. All right, very similar. Of course, this one has a lot more thought process patterns is what we call that. This is like, you ever see In the Mouth of Madness? Anyway, moving on. So we could see the setup, and this is what we look for, right? We look for an area that came down from a sharp downtrend, right? So if you're a reversal trader, right, it's not everybody's cup of tea. So you had a high side come down, pull back, no big deal. You've been doing that, you know, this whole area, right? This little range over here is actually really nice. Choppy, lower lows across the board. Bit of a higher high, swing fail, higher high, push up, historical support resistance. So then you drop back down, big push down, very small, lost our 20, 20's resistance, push back up, same thing. Big drop down. Now, here is where things get interesting. So you made the nice pivot point. Sharp down, quick bounce, drop again, support, right? So this move right here is huge. I think this is underrated. This is a really good thing. Sharp drop, quick bounce, drop a little lower, good reversal. All right. Oh, what? Hello. So this is really important, right? Because this is the setup that we're looking for. So now that level becomes far more important than people realize, right? So what we want this to act as our breaking point. This is essentially the zone that we say this trade's ready to roll. So because we got our levels up top here, we push down, push up, resistance number 1. Push down, break, made a lower low, push back up again, resistance number 2. Higher low, ranged out again, sideways, push up again, double top, resistance number 3. Push back down again, found support, push back midterm, right? Swing fail to the low side, drop for another new low, double bottom, push up and break. But that's a clean break. Clean break. So what could happen here, right? If we don't get that support that we're looking for, that's the zone that we want to be looking at. As far as getting back in if the trade's over, right? So you would do something like this, and now you've retested that support area, and now you push back up to the next target level. So again, this is USDT, so it's it's going to look different. It's going to react a little bit differently, but this is essentially this is ideal, right? You have a perfect level of resistance across the board. Price was held down, right? For what? 5 times. Then when it broke, it was super clean. Huge break. So you don't always get the pullback right after that, but it's the ideal spot to pull back to. Now, like I was saying before, the buyback on here already, just from the first 5 minutes of trading is perfect, right? So on the 1 hour chart, we can see how that all looks. Huge buy up, bing, shooting star, drops it back down, consolidate for a minute. But look, as we're expanding the price out, right? You basically have a brawn and wedge to the outside, not exactly up or down. It's like a reverse symmetrical triangle. So it's just pushing up and pushing out. It's going to test the lows and it's going to push back for the highs. First area of interest would be coming back to accumulation zone right here. That could be a quick wick. But for me, it'd be this support area right here. Probably drop that down a little bit so it makes a little bit more sense. Get you right in that zone. And then that would be the buyback area. So if you did take first profits right at a 1618, or if it made it 2618, or if it made it to a good MA, right, then you're out of the trade. So you're waiting like, well, when do I buy the pullback? Well, that's where you buy the pullback. Now, you're not going to get it every time. That's how it works. But that's how setups work too, right? You have a better chance of that setup working than you do just flipping a coin and saying, I'm going long. This at least has an area of interest that's held it down for so long. And that area of interest, like I said, it spawned from here, right? You had the indication right here, right there. Big, sharp drop, quick recovery to a second low, and then a perfect buyback, right? And in the grand scheme of things, it's called a W pattern, but because the W is so short, didn't even make it halfway back up. It's the reaction is what gets me. This, and this. So that level now becomes the most important level moving forward. You can put it on the wick, you can put it on the candle body. But again, I do that on 4-hour charts. You're not going to see that on a daily. It's not going to look anything like that. On a daily, it just looks like this, right? Daily, you just have, selling. You come back down, you made a low, you made another low, you push up for a minute, you ranged, you drop down, you made another low, range for a minute, range, come down. Now you can see the level, right? Because you can see the range. Just picture this like a big piano, keyboard right here. Like what level do the wicks not pass, right? Say, all right, well, if I just looked at it just like anybody else, say bang, just like that. And that's pretty good. That'll get you in that ballpark for sure. And you can zoom in on like the 8-hour to 6-hour to 4-hour to 1 hour and really fine tune it. But the idea is the same, right? Price is being held down by something, right? This is the reverse of what we're looking at on Bitcoin, right? Picture this upside down and picture that yellow line, the 100 MA, right? All of that pressure is being applied, right? Eventually, you want it to break. Like I said before, it's like taking a hammer and chipping on, like a piece of glass or ice.
Did you already cover the daily closing?
I did not. No, we got stuck on ICX.
Okay.
We
we did close. I just wanted to introduce everybody. Just say hi. Say hello.
Oh, you got smaller.
She got smaller. Can you see him? Say hello.
Hello.
Actually, let me make her.
She's like, I'm taking that mic.
Say hello. She said, I'm gonna break your eardrums. Okay. Our non sequitur, our comic relief for a moment.
It's perfect.
Oh, she's like, I really want this microphone now.
Yeah, well, you might not get it back.
Okay, so what I'm seeing on Bitcoin is we are starting to sell off on the daily closing. We're 10,050. We couldn't get above the 200 MA on the 15 minute. So I do expect a test on this 100 MA on the 15 minute. But what I would look at is if you do want to like take a scalp long, probably right just from this previous trend line, you could probably take a bounce here and then look to sell up here, or even just like here. Even just here. Again, I'm not really playing too much scalping right now. I'm looking more for like a longer term swing trade position. And I've mostly been focusing on alts. That seems to be where the gains have been at. And this is just like really, really choppy and sending a lot of mixed signals. And the range is just too narrow to really make like a good amount of money. I like to get my money in, get my money out. But in this case, it's just kind of, I threw out 9,800 yesterday. It tagged it really nicely. But still, look, it played up like 200, $300, and these ranges are just like too small for me. But yeah, I'm going to try and get her to sleep. I will be on in just a minute, and yeah, we'll go from there. You want to oh, you got a nice little channel there.
Yeah, sure do. 15-minute channel. They don't mess around. Look, we already broke and got the retest.
Oh, so nasty.
It's over. So on the 15-minute chart, right, that's the 100 MA. So, expect a touch there. That would be ideal. 24-hour chart. So back to the daily. Let's do the numbers. It's just something that I like to do. If you hate it, just let me know. All right, so the numbers, here we go. We opened up at 10,133. We hit a high 10,237, low down to 97.59, close it out at 10,107. So we ended up losing 22.85 on the day, 0.23%. So again, like almost nothing. Look at the candle. Look at that candle. There's just nothing shaking there. Nothing. From open to close, right? 23 bucks on something trading at, 10,100. Nothing going on there. Pure indecision. All right. So we do get that. That's right here, right? On the top side, Dragonfly Doji. Now, this is a Dragonfly Doji to the downside. Typically, you don't see it there. You would see a Gravestone Doji going back up the other way, but that is not the case. Not the case. So, I mean, it's a bearish candle in nature, but typically you find that on the top of an uptrend leading the downtrend. Not the case here. So it's just sort of within trend. Local trend, you can argue, is up, I guess. But, again, nothing's changed here. This is support on the floor, resistance as the ceiling, 120. If you ever wonder, like when I have my charts up, I try to make sure that I have this on or activated. So just look over and match, like obviously you can't match like colors, red and white, but they're also in location. So I have faith you guys would be able to figure that out. All right. So you'll be able to see like this right here, bang, 20 MA. This right here, bang, 100 MA. This right here, 7 EMA, 9 EMA. All right. So you should be able to see those things. You might not be able to see this slate. It's pretty dark, even on my screen. But that's the 50 MA. And you'll see the line right here, and that's the current price, 10,717. All right. So again, nothing has changed. We're looking at the same thing, same pattern, same everything. It either has to break the 100 or it has to break the 20. So this is just a ping pong range for now. There's plays on the shorter time frame, but the overall bigger picture is, break the 20 and go for the trend line, or break the 100 and go for a support or another EMA, MA, or structure over here. Structure. So, I mean, there's a lot of zones in either direction, but it just hasn't made up his mind yet. All right. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about this guy real quick. So I seen in the Discord, someone's like, what's up with Dusk? Is it going to move? All right. Take it easy. Here's what we got. 4-hour chart, push down. This is the zone, right? I love this zone. So this is what I'm talking about. So this is like a pretty good example of what we were just looking at with the other chart. Remember, we're saying like support. So we can't, like, this is a little bit different. This setup's different, but this is the bounce, drop, push, bang, right? Structure. So we know that this area has interest. And this is your swing high, basically your swing high before the drop. So we know that this level is important, right? And we know that this level is important. And again, we're on a 4-hour chart, right? So we know that these levels are important. Now, unfortunately, this level down here, that's pretty important too. And so is this one. But this one sort of takes the cake. So that's what we're looking for. Now, when price came all the way up here, right, it was still very much in a strong trend. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. That's the biggest drop we had in trend, right? One indication that possibly you're losing strength in the trend. Then you had one big push, but look how long it took, right? These other ones were like, a day, 2 max. This was like 3 days, you know what I mean? And it was a very wicky on the way down. Lots of like pull up, push down, push down, push down. Although you would close higher, the trading was a bit messy. So this should have been the first indication, like this thing's getting pretty tired. You know what I mean? It's just exhausted. And these areas that it touched down on were perfect right here. Perfect structure area retest. Look at that. So you're thinking like you're going up in trend, you pull back, you get that retest, you think you're good, and then this happens, right? So this, although I guess the most recent thing we pulled up was ICX, although seems unlikely because we just smashed all these great levels and all this volume and it's cruising. But the reality is this. The reality is come back and test structure. That's this right here. All right, so that was that yellow line I put on that ICX chart with the little green box. That's like, that would be the pullback, right? That's the place to buy. And then this thing can either one of two things, right? It's either going to continue its trend up here, or it's going to continue to fail and break down. This thing could double bottom. It could come all the way back down, all the way down here. You know, I think we actually saw that on, didn't we see it on One or Matic? You know, I just like trickled like forever. And we had these little like bursts where it's like, it's coming back. Now's the time. And then nothing. So, you know, never sell yourself into these trends. You know, they all fail. They all come down. It's guaranteed. It's on every chart. You show me a chart that just goes straight up and never pulls back, and I will be amazed because it just doesn't happen. All right. So, don't be afraid when you're up here and you're like, I don't know, do I pull profits? Do I pull profits? Do I pull profits and buy back in? Don't be afraid to sell for profits because you're waiting like a week, if not more, for a buy box. It's all the way down here, right? It's forever away. You're going to think the whole time, it's never going to make it. It's never going to make it. It's never going to make it. And then you get all this recovery and you're like, it's never going to make it. It's never going to make it. Next thing you know, you get tagged. And you got tagged on a front run order last night at this D target, right? So again, and you got patterns in here too to give you confluence, to give you ideas. You know, this particular pattern right here is specifically, you know, designed as a reverse. So it's a bullish cipher. It pushes up from X to A. You get a pullback below a 618. That's this guy right here, 576. Push up to a 1, I believe it's 113 to a 1618. Bang, bang, right here, A to C, extension up. And a pull all the way down, right, to a 14 with an 886 for confluence. You could have 786 or 886 for confluence. Typically, you should have, I think it's 786. But again, that's confluence. Like, you want it to be there, but ideally, like, that's your target. So this will have a range up and down. But you can see, I didn't update this chart. So you can see we hit it right here. Bang. Entry. In. That's why the alarms are going off yesterday. So now, does it look good? Did we get that big buy that we were looking for? We had a pretty good candle reaction here, 4-hour chart. Since then, it's gone sideways, and there was major resistance. I guess it was probably on the hourly chart. Let's take a look. Yeah, so you're trying to reclaim the 20. That's that yellow line right there. So that was the tag, push, failed on the 20, push back down, higher low, broke up, almost claimed it until you gave it like this abandoning baby pattern, push back down, lost it again, lost it 2 more times, broke up again, another abandoned baby. Fuck, this hourly chart's ridiculous. It did it over here too. With, oh man, this is, I got to meet the people that are trading this. That's awesome. And so now we've lost it again. So I'm still not out of the woods for lower structured test. I got a Hail Mary order somewhere around 14, which sort of invalidates this trade and sets up for the deeper trade, which is kind of, it's not like it's just a little bit more complicated entry. That's all. But it's down in this ballpark here, candle high on a 4-hour chart. So let's find that. Candle close on a 4-hour chart. It's right here. Bottom range 1588. So laddered into 1588. And then I have the 786 as an entirely different trade. So this breaks down and fails. I'm out. The new buy goes to 1374 to like, you know, this. Remember I said that level is important too. Well, that would be the level. Right. All right. So like basically from there to the 786. And that's if this breakdown becomes invalidated, stopped out, right? Then, okay, let the price continue to come down and I'll buy it here as the reversal. That's the risk of reversal trades. You know, it doesn't reverse. And then what, right? You get stopped out. So, you know, you can't say I'm just going to stay in. I'll buy the next support. I'll buy the next support. It doesn't work that way. You know, maybe spot Bitcoin under 10 grand, sure. But not altcoins. No way. All right, cool. You guys want to see anything? Any charts? Somebody was asking about Nebulous. So I threw a chart up for them. What was that? NAS? Yeah, I think it's Nebulous. So this is the chart I threw up them for. So on the daily chart, there's a lot of cool things happening here. At least as far as like, you know, the history of the coin. You know, pretty disgusting. Just overall, you know, listing, huge drop, pushback, and then we've never gotten higher since the first retrace. So I mean, overall, you know, the chart is very disgusting. But that doesn't mean, you know, you can't trade it. So massive, you know, swing line fail right here. So that's just this is more or less a trend on visual basis, right? Because obviously you cut through all this garbage over here and you're cutting through all that crap. But the idea is still there, right? It's an important indication visually that there's something to pay attention to. This is an actual, you know, trend. So we could take bang, 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 and bang. And we can see on the daily chart, pretty good. All right, pretty good. Very similar setup to what we were just looking at with, I think that was BAT. So we come down on the 4-hour chart, and now we can start to see things with a little bit more resolution. All right, here's your sharp down. Right now, this is an entirely different setup, but I'll walk you through this real quick. So this setup comes down very sharp, very sharp. You find support, sharp, find support, sharp, find support, sharp, bullish engulfing candle. First time in trend. Gave it all back, so bit of a false break. Then you get second attempt right here. So this is 3 lines up, smash right halfway through your candle that you got back, and then you came back down again. But you supported this line for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 candles and then dropped it. So that's already impressive just in a major area of accumulation. But the bullish engulfing, that's what gets my attention. All right, so now we drop down, we make a low, we find support. All right, cool. So this is obviously a level that we care about, right? This is like a support level. So we come up here and say, all right, that's support. Push out, we make another high. It ends up being like a double top, more or less, right? We didn't exactly trade any higher than our previous. So we're starting right here, starting to lose strength in the downtrend, right? Otherwise, you would have came up, had a lower high, and then continued to make a lower low. That didn't happen. You came up, you double topped. And when you double topped, you didn't even have a significant drop. Typically, you have a double top, you see something like this, a huge drop. And what's funny is we did have a double top right here. Right? So another double top and then the big drop, right? So again, price came back down. This time didn't make a lower low. So this is technically a swing fail to the upside, right? So it's like that. So the way that works is you're bullish or you're long until you cross and close that level. Clearly we did. We're going to leave this on here for a minute because I wonder, just because. So anyway, price came back down. Now it made a lower low. So now you got to start saying like, all right, this could have just been some nonsense trading. No big deal. We're right back in trend. Lower low, no big deal. And then you solidify that with this little range action and a further downside. So you're like, okay, yeah, we're absolutely in a downtrend. Everything's cool. Come up. And then this happens. And then we got to start saying like, well, what was this price action? Just accumulation in a low range? Because it's certainly higher than this area here. So this becomes kind of a point of interest. And you got to think about that for a second. Say, well, as far as structure goes, right, this is actually pretty important. So this retest right here is this low side test right here. That's this. And this is why my charts are totally impossible to read. All this stuff that's on here already. So anyway, that becomes a high level area of importance. You found support on the way up to a double top, big drop, came down, push, new low, both of them lower than the low that you were interested in the first place. Ended up finding resistance just about on our low from before, push back up, break a higher high than this one off of that bounce, still lower than previous, but now it's structure. So now you have a structure break. Now you have a W. Double U. Perfect. All right. So now that you have this, you could say, all right, well, what are we looking at to the upside or what are we looking at to the downside? Are we going to continue to play around and dance around and do these things, just make lower lows? Sure. That's one scenario. That is possible. All right, but the other thing we're looking at here is what's price doing? What's it telling us? Well, we have a swing fail right here to the top side. So that's our high from our triple top, if we want to call it that. That's our high from our structure retest. To the downside, remember, this is resistance, broke. Didn't break it yet. Push down lower, and we made a lower low. This would be a different story if this was a double bottom. It wasn't. Okay, it's a lower low. So you got low, lower low, lower low, lower low. So clearly, we just keep making lows, right? But then you got this move right here. Break and close above, push down, retest on the swing fail. What else happened at that same time? You reclaimed your 20. You reclaimed your 7.9 EMA. So now you got a bullish crossover. All right, cool. We had that right here, right? You got to look back like, yeah, that sounds great. But didn't you just do that right here? You did, except for this guy. What's that? That's your 50. So your 50 MA made sure that this didn't happen. Well, 50 MA got crossed over here, didn't it? Yeah, it sure did. 50 MA made sure that didn't happen. And it wasn't even close to any of this junk over here. So as you see all your moving averages like accumulate and get closer and start converging, that's when you start looking at like, all right, we might have one of these big push plays. Because look at them all. They're all geared, right, to do this, converge, right? When they all converge, you have a very good shot at either going up or down. In this situation, you got a very good shot going up because you're coming from the downside. You're coming from the downside. Everything's evening out, starting to flatten. When you see an MA start to flatten, it's just like MACD signal line, right? It starts to flatten, starts to converge, start to get closer. And that happens, right? It's much easier to cross over, find support. So what do we do here? Same thing we just did with ICX. We said, bang, we got that high, looked really good. Everybody wants that continuation. And then, I got to come and be like the bad guy and be like, well, I'm looking for a pullback. Sorry. And this is a conservative pullback, right? The MA pullback would be down here like that, right? You'd be riding on that 2050 crossover. That's where you'd be looking on a 4-hour chart. I'm looking at that structure that was provided to us by this bounce and by this bounce. All right, so that's my support. So if I were to drag this thing over, right, this is essentially my pullback zone. Get that thing down there, and let me push that thing up to the body, and I'll push that down to the wick. So this is like a generalized, zone. And as always, you would want to front run that to a certain extent. But then you got to find targets, right? So what I do is a little bit different than most people, but I'll take the previous high, bring it down to the local low that formed the high that gets me my pullback. I swear, it's so much easier than it sounds. Just visually look at the chart, right? And it's like, well, what makes the most sense? When I get recovery from this move, right? I want the recovery from this move, right? I want the 1618 from this move. I don't want the 1618 from this move. That move literally just happened, and I don't know if it's over. I want the 1618 from this move. This is the swing high to the swing low that created my high. These are my targets going up. So that's why I do that. So I put a reverse fib up here, bang, bang. I got a 1618 target right here, a 2618 target right here, a 3618 target right here, and a 423 target right here. And then what I always do on every chart, and I tell everybody all the time, right? You find it, right? And then look at previous structure, like look left. Just look over here and see what makes sense. 423 coming back, structure lows, structure swing low to the high that made your low that started the range. All right, I'm interested. So this is the focal area for me. This zone right here, structure resistance, structure support. It's a bigger zone, but this is to get you visual ideas for targets. And you'll notice I didn't use it. That's my target, and that's my target. You know what I'm saying? So, but I still want to know that it's there. Now that I have these targets, I'll go back to something bigger, like a 24-hour chart. And I'll say, all right, well, what am I looking at here? Because this could change my mind, right? 4-hour gets a little noisy. This could change my mind and where my targets might be set. So if we do come up, this is the perfect level. 50, MA, confluence, 423, confluence, structure low, body candle close, swing high to the drop. I'm in. That's my target. All right. Now I see this. Remember I drew that line and I said I'm going to leave it there because I want to see something? That's what I want to see. Let's say it doesn't happen today. Let's say it happens tomorrow. What's perfectly in line for that to happen? Day. This would be the next day of trading. Perfect. So no matter what happens today, let's say we don't hit this target today. Let's say we do that. Let's say we come up 1618, be like a quadruple top. It's ridiculous. So hold on, let me do this, do that. Right. Okay. So we do something like that. Basically be like a quadruple top. Push back, pull back, buy it, push up, and get this tomorrow. That's why I leave that line there. So take profit 1. Right? Probably do a little bit of a pullback somewhere in this ballpark zone. Might even come all the way back to the structure top that brought you the move, and then make your way for the next move. 423, unless momentum's gone, steam is gone, volume's gone, trend is gone, and then just come right back down and just make lower lows, or break down and just do range for, the foreseeable forever. So That's it. That's like a glimpse inside of my brain. Hope that was useful. All right. I used to like Strat a lot till I bought it at 90 to HODL. How does it look today? Okay, so you bought Strat to HODL. Yeah, I hate that word. All right, so you want to know the dollar. Trex, yes. Strats for the long-term hold. Oh, man. Buddy, be regal. Be regal. You bought it at 90? Be regal? This one's for you, Be Regal. Oh, where did it go? Come on, all that time and it's gone. Jeez. Oh, there you go. Oh, no, that's 9. We didn't do 9. Imagine if you bought it there. That'd be terrible. No. We don't want that. We don't want that. 0.9. Here you go, Regal. All right. I'm on your side, buddy. Don't worry. Okay, so Be Regal got fancy, didn't you? So what did you see? I'll let you give you a second to answer that. Don't just laugh. I just want to know what you saw. That's all. I mean, look, obviously clear downtrend. We've seen plenty of charts like this. It's not the bottom by any, stretch. So, with the bottom listing, I guess was like 8 thousandths of a penny. So the thing had a massive run, right? Topped out at, let's say 11. What is this? Let's say right here. Come on, Magnet, do your thing. Found a local top at 11.8. Struggled for a little while to get over it. Finally did, and ended up getting like a new all-time high at like 22. So, I mean, I could definitely see the interest of buying at 90 cents. I mean, that type of return is phenomenal. Is it going to make it back to all-time high? I mean, that remains to be seen. And there's not a soul on the planet who can answer that. Unless, of course, they have enough money for the entire market cap, buy everything in crypto, and just push it, make it do whatever they want. And there's people out there like that, which is ridiculous. All right. So, look, it found a high, drop, double support. So this is good. Okay, so that's at least an area of interest. This is, you can't even find, I'd like to find the bottom for you. Not going to be able to do that as easy as I would like. Like the larger play here. Oh, come on, Magnet. The larger play is pushing back and actually getting the reversal, right? There's no reversal yet, so that becomes the big problem. So then you got to look for structure areas within this zone, right? And really, like the most structure, you got a structure area here, and you're literally on structure right now. Price is like literally on it. So if you take these areas here, these smaller areas of accumulation, this is just like the chart we looked at before. Just this is what I'm talking about. Just areas where you should have a decent bounce. Now, you're not actively trading it, so it doesn't really matter. You just want it to go up, and that's fine too. So if that were the case, and let's say that is the local bottom for now, then we could throw a fib on top to bottom and just get an idea on hopefully what the minimum return would be like if you wanted to maybe think about just parting ways, just being done with it. Typically getting back to a 236 off of a long high, right, to a big rundown, right? This is straight down. 236 is doable, generally speaking, let's just say. Back to a 236 for this particular coin puts you at $5.54. All right, so for you just to get back to where you'd like to get back to, and then make a decision on what you want to do, let's call it 92 cents, which is 2 cents over. It's 176% return, right? A push from now. So it's huge, right? You really are asking for a lot. But on the grand scheme of things, it's not too bad. As far as the way the price action has worked in this thing, it was bananas from go, with nothing but straight upside with somewhat strong pullbacks until the first like major high, the drop, and then your first like real double bottom low, right? That was like the first indication that this trend, right, had another story. And it ended up making like a huge W, dropped down for probably the bigger pullback of the time, wicked down pretty low, and then that was the beginning of this massive run, this huge run. You're talking from 68 cents in March of 2017 all the way up to what does that say? $12 in June of 2017. 3 months from pennies to $12. Huge. But like everything else, it started coming back.
Brock Pierce knows how to pump a coin, that's for sure.
Is this his?
Yeah. Dan Larimer.
Oh,
Dan Larimer is the programmer behind Steam, is the programmer behind EOS.
And
EOS, he actually started with BitShares. He started with BitShares, then EOS.
I didn't know that.
Then he's the programmer for all three.
I didn't know that. So that low, the high, look at that 886 though. Come on. What? It's ridiculous. So yeah, you're clearly in no man's land here. 886 is so far away that all of this drop down action is just a slow bleed. And that's right. A reversal generally would be imminent. Let's say that it comes down to major structure. At least you don't have that much more to go, right down to 12 cents. So you do this down to 12 cents. It's another 66% drop. And I do think there's plenty of coins in the market now that still have another 60% of their current to go down if things are to shake up on the Bitcoin side.
I wanted to go over ADA real quick. A bunch of people were asking about it. So I'm just gonna go through a few charts. All of these are viable trades. And so I do want to go through some of them. So ascending triangle on ADA. Do I think we'll break this now? Possibly. I mean, it's a little bit of a bull flag structure, kind of finding support on the 7 EMA. We have not broken into the 70s yet on RSI on the 4-hour. The daily RSI is still below our bearish control zone that rejected us before. So you remember, like, we can use 50. So we're starting to move up and through it, but still not over that bearish control zone. So we're still in this. So it's possible that we break down to new lows, and that'll definitely happen if Bitcoin breaks out. On the 4-hour, we're still below the 200 EMA, 200 MA, which is not very high above it. It's got, basically like 4%. So the RR is basically like 1-to-1 right now. I think that most likely it'll probably come back and tag this. We've tested this 1, 2, 3 times. We've only got, we've got this lower trend line support. But again, it's better to buy maybe on support if you're looking to do something like that. I wouldn't buy it here unless we break above and hold that 200 EMA, 200 MA. just because this thing can break down just as easily as it can break up. Ascending triangles are typically bullish patterns, but they're typically continuation patterns. They're not typically strong reversal patterns on the downside. There's a little bit of a kind of a double bottom, but overall, I think that I would wait on ADA. I think there's better trades. Matic is cruising towards T1, doing really, really well. Remember what I said? When you close at strength, a lot of times it continues to push up after the daily close. We're coming up against this resistance zone over here, which is sitting at 170. It was just at 172. From our entry, about 144, we are currently up about 18%. Very, very nice, very, very solid trade. Let's look at Ren. Ren is selling off, I believe, after the daily close. And it is coming down to that trend line that we were looking at before. I believe that hit our stop loss. Let me see. Yep, Ren hit stop loss around 4%. But we did send a notification earlier to take profits on the trade around the 880, 890 level, which was about a 6% profit. That high time frame resistance, no bueno, but it is touching our top trend line, previous top trend line resistance that may act as support now. And then let's take a look at FET real quick. FET dipping has not quite dipped into the buy zone that I was watching for. I was basically looking for like 630 as our average entry. And if this starts to break down, then I'll look to close it. But basically, we're buying all the way down to 620. It's touched once, touched twice. We might touch again. And then I'm looking for a bounce up to this higher level here as we come out of this little bit of a wedge structure. Right here. Okay, so that was FET and then Sealer. We'll just cover these real quick before. Sealer's looking good, holding 82 level, consolidating right at the 200 MA on the 4 hour. I just want to see a nice push above. And then what were my other trades that I was looking at? Let me bring these up real quick. Okay, so, okay, KMD, I don't know if that's already popping. Take a look real quick. All right, KMD, obviously, we moved out of that wedge. We're at 77.776. A little bit of a kind of a flagging structure broke out above. So next target's up here. If you want extra trades, I'm just covering like a few extra trades here. So, 14, 15% off that trade. And then what was the other trades I was looking at earlier?
ICX you were talking about earlier.
ICX, I was looking for the pullback. GNT, I was considering a trade earlier, but it fucking daily close just it already moved hard. So up 10% on the daily close, and then GVT was the other one. GVT, I had an entry 12 to 13, and didn't quite pull back there.
ETC is trying to move again.
What's going on with ETC?
I don't know if it was FA or not. I was busy all day, so I don't know. I just kept on getting notifications, 3% up, 3% up, 3% up, 3% up. And next thing I look and I'm like, 3%? This thing's up like 25%.
Yeah, this is never a trade that I would ever take in like a million years.
Thing's bananas.
I mean, we just barely crossed the 20 MA, no pullback. I mean, this is just a luck of the draw trade.
I would imagine the pullback's coming, but
there was a little bit of a bullish divergence on RSI, but we're getting kind of capped out on RSI, so I would expect a bit of a pullback. Okay, GBT. Oh, I was looking at Aeon too.
Aeon. Could you chart LTC BTC? I know you talked about it quick.
Okay, so Aeon, looks like we're forming a floor of accumulation support here. Where was I looking at? I wanted to buy on this lower range. It looked like we were forming a floor underneath this previous support, like basically as resistance. This floor may head out a little bit longer, so I would set some buys around 65. I do think this one will pop really, really nicely. But currently we've got this just kind of mini trend here. And these are accumulation swing positions. These aren't like short-term trades. These will take like a couple months to play out fully. But target, we're actually at the first target from the 70 level, but yeah, basically topside target was like 88 and then 100, like 90-ish, 95-ish. KNC was a trade that I put out 2 live streams ago, if you guys remember, and it is just absolutely smashing everything. Let me take a look in my reversal trade channel. KNC, I gave entry at, let's see, KNC was, I think it was like 1400. Let me open this chart real quick. Okay, so yeah, 1405. First target was 17. Second target was 1986. So we already hit first target, which was a 18% profit, and then the next target was 1986, and we are about 86 satoshis off of that for a 40% trade. What was the entry? Yeah, 14 right down here. So 1470-ish. Yeah. So really nice trade for anybody that got in on that. And then AST was the other trade. What was my entry? Entry was 250 to 260. Yeah, so pretty nice. Up 8.9%. Finding support on the 20 MA. Hourly. Looks like a nice bull flag structure. This should push up to our higher side targets, which were, man, it's so hard to read in Discord. You got to open up the whole thing. High side target was 308. Second high side target was 377. And we are currently about, we already hit our first target. Yeah, first target to the money, which was the top of this channel. I think I sold about 50% of my position on 3 commas here, and I've got the rest for the higher side target. But so we hit that high side target. We're pulling back now, and then the next side target is the 61.8 of this full move. And somebody just said there's an Ethereum Classic hard fork going on.
Oh, you know the name of it? You remember the name? It had a cool name to it. Man, I forgot all about that. Dude, it's the end of August already. Oh my God. We're reading about that for like 3 years, 2 years. I forget the name of it, but it was cool. Yeah, so I think that's supposed to happen at the end of August.
Oh, Atlantis. Okay, so
yeah,
9/17/19.
Middle of September. Okay. Man,
I think those were all the trades that I saw that I was watching. Oh, ENJ. ENJ was my last one. These were like all my alt trades that I was watching. Okay, so we got look at this chart, guys. I posted this earlier. I'll have to check my 3 commas, but I don't think you can get much better than that. Let me see where I posted this. I think it was breakout trades. Let's see. Okay, ENJ, very simplistic view. Yeah. Check this out. This was today at 1 p.m. Okay, we were at 718. I said buy the retrace pullback, and then I provided. Where was it? That was ADX. ADX actually looks really good too. Yeah, but basically I gave this chart and then take a look at that. To the money. Came right back down to our buy zone, and I did get filled and already up a solid 6%. So kicking it. And what I'm targeting is about 17% for the daily 50 MA right here. That's where my target is, which also coincides with the 4-hour 200 MA. A little bit higher than that actually. That was where we rejected. So I'm targeting the 50 MA on the daily as my potential topside target. And then ADX was the other trade, and I posted this in breakout trade. Let's see how this did. So Doji right now didn't come back down to buy zone, pushed up, didn't actually come where I wanted it to. Then we'll check FET. FET dipping down almost into our buy zone. So you can buy all the way down to 620, guys. All the way down to 620. If you look at the entry and exit, and our stop loss is basically around 600. So 3. You can ladder your buys all the way down, try and get them close to that support zone as you can, and then our stop is basically around 600. So clear and validation level. But if we can get that 620 to 630 average entry 630, that'll lower our risk basically down to 4%, 4.8%, and then rocket from there. And then XBT, I think we did find support on that 100 MA. So if you got in on a long scalp, we didn't quite tag this here, but if you look at the 15-minute, it did tag the 100 MA down to the money. Remember how I said it fell out of the 200, find support in the 15-minute, and now we're pushing back up. And so my target for this is the 30-minute 200 EMA. So nice little scalp up to 10,270. Possibly up to 10,400. That was my original short zone, 10,400 all the way up to 10,550. All right, guys, I think that was it. Covered a lot of charts. Hopefully you guys are learning stuff. Are you guys enjoying these live streams every day? Yes, no, maybe.
I see no problem with like a chicken, but I think that was for the Atlantis. Samuel says yes very much.
All right, sweet. Paul Osterbeck. Man, you've been following me on Twitter forever, man. Welcome to the group, by the way. I believe if your logo matches what I see on Twitter.
Osterbeck. Yes. Learn it.
Yeah, so right now we're kind of breaking out into a parabolic uptrend on Matic. Care if it breaks down, move up your stops. There's not a real good like safe stop, maybe like 155, maybe 163. So watch out for that. Yeah, man, I appreciate all your support. I see that you like and retweet a lot of my stuff, so I appreciate that. Where are you from, man?
It's like, I'm in your backyard, dude. Like, what?
What most people don't realize is I read and pay attention to almost everything on Twitter and on a lot. Oh, you're from Michigan. Cool, man. What part? I know who everyone is that retweets my stuff, that likes my stuff. I read every comment. Same thing on Discord. I read almost everything in chat. Same thing on YouTube. Same thing on TradingView. Okay, so QKC. I've been watching this for a while. I got to get out of the 15-minute chart on altcoins. Just death. I don't like this at all. Somebody was mentioning that QKC.
That's called the steamroller. You don't see it.
Looked like a classic bear flag. This price action is disgusting. Like, what the hell do you do with this? Up. And then it comes back down, breaks the low. Steady, slow grind. And then, like, what the fuck is this? Like, sorry for the language, but this is not a tradable asset. And then the overall structure, God forbid we look at the weekly. IRA, yeah, I know where IRA is. It's nice. Okay, so basically just constant negative downtrend on the weekly. I'm not seeing anything that gets me too excited about QKC. And then Lisk was another one that I was watching. So these are just kind of like trades that are on my watch list that look like they were getting ready to make a move. This broke above the 20 MA. It's got a nice little support back here that it kind of reclaimed. Broke up, came back down, retested. It's got some nice impulsive volume. Expecting to move up to the 100 MA for about 40%. If not the 100 MA, then at least to kind of re-challenge this zone right here. So a few trades for you guys if you want to take some extra trades. I can give you exact entries, exits, and stuff like that. And then this was the other thing that I saw. Kind of double tap, so resistance, and then this came down, bounced on support, and then kind of moved up. So those are a few trades that I'm watching. All the safe ones I try and post on the website when I can. So yeah. We'll call it from there. It's about 9 o'clock, about 90 minutes. Thank you guys for watching. And if you guys have any questions, tag me in Discord.